All right, and welcome to the NWO Show, where we're talking everything New World. My name is Commander A's. We're going to introduce McLeod and myself. Normally we'll have a third host with us named Bart Ghost, but the three of us are all alpha players. I want to do a quick disclaimer that, of course, there's an NDA involved. We can't talk about anything of our experiences when it comes to the alpha. A lot of what we're going to be referencing is a lot of the videos when it comes to the February 8th videos that were released. On top of that, we're going to be talking a lot about the concept art, of which, if you're familiar with our Discord, we've got a full channel of all of the concept art and screenshots from the video, from the trailer that also released very recently, and an awesome place to go look through those. So a little bit about us. My name is Commander Ace. That's been my gamer tag for quite a while. Most recently, I came across from Eve, where we were, we got into the alpha and really enjoyed it. Prior to that, I did play competitive first-person shooters way back in the day, including Battlefield, Call of Duty, etc. I played on a semi-pro team for Battlefield 2142, so that probably dates me a little bit. So aside from that, we also have McLeod here. McLeod, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, my name's McLeod. I've been kind of running with the same, gamer tag for quite a while. I've been kind of playing games for 25 years, maybe probably a little bit more than 25 years, since the early 90s kind of thing. As probably a lot of people tend to, from consoles over to PC, PC master race, right? Playing, a mixture of strategy games, mixture of FPSs. Kind of got I'm a little bit of a sort of sci-fi kind of sci-fi nerd sort of in that regard. So sci-fi strategy, just general strategy, and then I kind of picked up FPSs. That's and then you know how you have these sort of phases, right? You kind of have these sort of little bouts in and out of various different genres of various different computer games. So I had my I kind of had my fill of FPSs for a little while, and went back into the strategy games. Kind of found EVE Online somewhat by accident. Met Commander A's. Met a few other crazy individuals. I was very interested in the New World before I actually got the opportunity to jump into it via the Imperium. But it's one of those things. You get someone gives you an opportunity to jump into a game, and yeah, you're going to do it. But
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So obviously, New World had a major announcement at the Video Game Awards, which included a trailer, included a major update to the website, major updates in terms of the FAQ, and a whole bunch of other posts that they've released since, giving us everything from some light information on how housing might work, with obviously not enough detail to satisfy everyone.
Everybody wants all the detail, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge. So I want to explain to somebody I want to explain to you guys the gaming media and how this was introduced to them. So let's imagine that your editor turns to you and says, "Here's this game. You need to interview this developer about their game." The developer is going to give you 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much time you need, depending on, what questions you ask and stuff like that. It might be part of a larger group that's having kind of a group conversation as part of the interview. But they're going to give you that opportunity to ask questions. the game that you just reviewed is quite possibly Mario Party. So this might not even be the genre that you're looking at, or that you're used to, or that you play.
Hey,
so
you might be, you know, your kind of style of game might be like, you know, Dance Revolution or something like that, right?
Exactly. So you're given this game, and then they tell you, hey, you know, we have this option, or we have this option for housing. And if you've never played games like Arcade or any of the other games where player housing is a thing, then you would never know that there's a lot of questions on how that gets implemented. You know, is it going to be some system where it's instanced, or is it going to be, you know, a limit of houses per claim, you know, based on how many you could fit, or like, you know, how is this going to work? You know, how is everybody going to be able to plant their houses on servers with, you know, thousands of people on them? Quite obviously, the map is large, and we will show a picture of that in a little bit here. But you know, trying to ask those questions when you don't necessarily know the background that you're supposed to know, or, you know, comparatively to, you know, people who are in the alpha, you got two different sets of questions that would be asked based on, you know, kind of this intro to where somebody's unfamiliar with it and somebody who's intimately familiar with it. So there's going to be some disconnect there. And even simple mechanics, you know, things like the toggling that was mentioned in a couple of articles that's since been removed for PvP, can be misconstrued complex mechanics that, again, this person's never actually seen the game. They're just asking questions about the game. So this complex system has to be described to them over the phone, and they've got to translate it into what makes sense to them. So until people actually have video of the game and have a chance to sit down and play it, don't trust anything that you read in terms of, oh, you know, PvP is completely gone, or, you know, any of this nonsense that's out there. You know,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know, people are just going crazy for the sake of going crazy. I do have an image of the map, and let me quick find it here.
Little teaser, like, there we go.
And make sure our audio translates over to the next screen here. Yeah. So this was released. So I want to quick preface something so nobody's running to any of the Amazon developers here. All of this was released via either Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and any other source, including their website and press releases that have been out there. So this is not a, you know, we're not like taking screenshots out of the game or anything like that. This was the map for the version of the alpha back in January. So, you know, looking in on this, obviously you've got kind of these named regions. You know, we'll scroll in a little bit here.
Yeah, a lot of the alpha kind of crew will know this place intimately, but you know, we can't really go into it without breaking NDA, but we can kind of, you know, delve into it from what we see here, right?
Exactly. And based on, you know, general concepts of cartography and stuff like that, you can kind of tell that there's a lot going on here. So like in the bottom area and towards the top, you kind of have these mountainous areas, you know, with a lot of dark brushed terrain that looks very rocky. It looks, you know, like mountain passes and stuff like that. Whereas towards the middle, you've got kind of this plains area. You know, so I mean, there's a lot there. There's also kind of these like delta type areas as well to either side. But the important thing to note here, and Like the absolute vital thing to note here, and so many people like misunderstand this when it comes to like how are they going to get 1,000 people playing at one time on this map. If you watch the February 8th videos that released where the media gets a chance to actually play the game, above where it says Weaver's Fen, they spend about 10 minutes going from about where the F is to kind of over by where the W is. It takes them about 10 minutes to get that far. So, and that's, you know, they're not exactly, you know, hauling it in a specific direction, but, you know, there is at least a concerted effort to move a specific way. So that gives you an estimate of kind of how big this is to start with.
Which is fairly sizable. But like the other kind of thing is like this is only a small part of like the overall
Yes.
the overall map, because you can kind of see like the you know sort of kind of you know grayed out kind of additional areas of the map, and you can tell they're like, you know, because it's been classified. It's been referred to as an island, right? So what we're looking at here is only like a small section of that island.
Yep.
As far as we can tell, anyway. But like, so there is a large amount of the island that's still, you know, no one knows about.
Exactly. And on top of that, there are many claims across this. So during that February 8th release, you can actually see pictures of the map with the individual claims on it. And yeah, I can't remember exactly how many there were, but it's over 50 or 60 different claims just in this area. Could be significantly higher than that. I can't remember the exact number. It's if you guys want to check out some of those videos, there's a really good 4K one that was released a little bit after February 8th, but it's a part of that same press release, same group, and I think it showcases the game a little bit better than some of the other ones. But that'll give you an idea of just how big this is, and of course you expand that out to whatever size that they could have come up with since then, and it gets really big. So we're going to pop over and take a look at a lot of the concept art here.
Yeah. Newly released concept art as well.
Yes.
As well as some of the older stuff. But, you know, they all tie in pretty well, so that's good.
Some of this, if you've been paying attention, you might have seen, but we're going to try and point out stuff that people haven't seen, or if you only took a quick glance at it, you might have missed. So obviously, if you got some of the ones that were just released, so this one here, you know, looking at kind of this demon creature in the background, and this, you know, clearly woefully underprepared guy holding a torch and a small sword.
I mean, he's screwed.
Yeah,
like,
he is shafted.
Call it like it is. He's fucked.
Yeah. And that thing over there just does not look very happy.
Well, I don't know. He kind of had I've said this prior to this. He has a bit of a smile to his face, on his face, like to some degree. But I don't know whether that's like a sadistic kind of smile.
So
and Mindless does say like he's got like bluish sort of tealish kind of eyes. Like,
and I think that's key. I think that's very significant, because you see that a lot in different art from around the game, and there seems to be this spectrum, like the supernatural creatures throughout the game seem to have this spectrum from dark blue to dark red, and some variations in between that. So like this one's this kind of teal color, and he also he's kind of faded into the mist here, but you've got kind of this look of that he might be like the elk from the trailer. And there could be something to that that might be part of like a generalized faction there. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I've got like a 747 that decided airspace over my place here was the place to go. Now, of course, there's also this guy like dead center straight in the back who like seems to be somewhat highlighted, but there's this blue flame next to him. I'd like to think that he's the guy who's like egging this guy like, oh, just come this way, it'd be fine,
It's fine. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Hey, I've got some some Dr. Pepper down here.
Yeah, free gear, come get it. Psych. So
You're screwed.
you know what I just realized? We didn't play the trailer. AGS has like this major announcement, and we didn't even play the trailer. Like, I think we got to show them the trailer.
We do have a little bit of the trailer in our actual like introduction, but yeah, we do need to play the trailer.
True. So we're gonna take a moment. We're gonna watch the trailer, and then we're gonna kind of react to it as well here. So we're gonna swap over to that, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes right after that trailer finishes.
It is an eternal island of legend, a place of unimaginable beauty, and a growing evil, where the forces of death and life are in constant conflict. For centuries, many have come in search of its power. Do you really want to live forever? Only to fall to its corruption. Lured by the promise of power and immortality, the darkness will claim you. Do you really want to live forever?
All right, we're back. So the one of the things you see in there right at the beginning is this elk. Obviously it looks like it's kind of made of wood. So that elk, and I feel like this kind of like demon thing off in the background, I feel like without the haze,
would be kind of like sort of made and kind of the same sort of deal.
Don't mind the bot. I have no idea what the bot just went off about in Twitch chat. It doesn't punish people, I promise. I haven't set it to do anything yet, but like I got nothing on that. This overprotective bot is overprotective. So anyways, let's keep rolling through. So obviously there's this kind of like, there's the NPCs, but there's, the players as well. And here you've got the reverse of the other one. You've got this, red eyes, red bandage, electrical tape all over them type look, Hey,
that was my line.
For those that don't know, and because this is the pilot, and I hope to God that Twitch actually saves it this time, because again, I didn't hit the record button on this end. This is the second time that we've had a pilot. The first one didn't save, and this is the 5th time that we've actually tried to record the pilot. So it gets to be kind of comical at a certain point. So if some of this seems like we might have said this to each other at one point, it's probably true. So, but anyways, you got some awesome weapon variety in this one, as well as some NPCs with some interesting weapon layouts. So going right off the break, you got this guy front and center that's got a pretty awesome looking spear that looks like it could do some serious damage in the right hands. But then you've also got directly across from him, you've got this NPC who's got both what looks kind of like a cutlass and a dagger, or like some sort of short gladius type sword.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that obviously there's a ton to unpack here, but we're gonna zoom in and we're gonna take a look at a couple of things. First, we're gonna focus on this guy, not on this guy's crotch. Slightly to the right of this guy's crotch. Again, we're gonna go over here a little. You've got this guy, this NPC in the background, and he's got something in his hand.
It's not normal,
right? Like,
it doesn't look normal anyway.
It looks like he's got a handle, but then there's just some gold something.
I mean, I was kind of wondering this about. I was thinking about this before. Like, could it be some sort of like? Could it be some sort of power kind of like sort of like enchantment on it or something? Like, because initially we thought like, oh, it's just hitting the sun really really well, and it's probably like made out of gold or something. Like it's like a small scythe, like a hand scythe, like a tool kind of thing.
So I don't know. I've got a theory, and I don't know if it's true. Obviously I don't know anything since the alpha, and even then, like this, I can't talk about something from the alpha at that. I have a theory that what that guy has in his hand is a whip, and that it's the sun kind of bouncing off of it oddly, but you can see it kind of like sway back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because you can either see that kind of that shape as being coming down and then towards you, or it could be coming down and away.
Yeah,
but you can't really tell specifically from that, like the way that it's shaded right there.
Yeah. So then we've got our friend with the giant two-handed axe that looks like he's just going to town. Also kind of looks like he's about ready to attack the other player here.
Yeah, I think the other player is pretty. The other player, or do you think he's getting ready for it's a big swing against that guy on the guy with the red tape on the left hand side?
He can go either way. Like, that thing's got a pretty wide range. He'd go for both.
Yeah, true.
So that's an interesting one.
Sword, though. I like that sword though. That's pretty cool.
That is a pretty giant sword, and I know this is a little bit pixelated. This is about as high res as I could get it, but this is a pretty interesting one. Like, that's a big sword. He's got a kite shield. He's got a pretty awesome set of armor on. We actually see this set in a number of different places in the photos they recently released.
Yeah.
So, but then we've got this guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't look particularly
We've discussed
armored.
this guy. We've discussed this guy a few times.
Yeah. He's got this glowing red corruption aura flowing off of him.
And like what I didn't notice actually
from the guy's eyes in the first one.
One thing I didn't notice before, actually, which I can see in this image now that you've zoomed so close, is his helmet actually seems to, like, I'm not sure whether that's just like a little bit of the aura kind of in front of the helmet, but it kind of almost looks like a little like red gemstone.
Mm-hmm. So the other question here is, what's in his hand?
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna zoom in even further here, and this is literally as far in as I can get the thing to show. I can't get a better image than this. This is what was released, so this is pure speculation. But that doesn't look like a pistol to me.
I mean, that looks too thin to be a pistol.
It looks too thin, right? My thought is this guy is seemingly unarmored, seemingly, it could be a dagger.
Dagger.
I kind of think it's a wand.
It would have a hilt, though. If it was a dagger, it would normally have a hilt, right?
I kind of think it's a wand. I mean, this guy seems like he's got something mythical about him.
Yeah, that is true.
He might have a little bit more influence with the corruption than normal. There could be something to that. So we're gonna zoom back out here. We're gonna take a look kind of at the greater.
He may be strong. He may be strong in the red side.
Yeah. So now the other thing here is, I didn't notice this at first, but over each of the NPCs in here, you actually have a red aura.
Oh, okay. So maybe he's not.
So I didn't notice that before, but and clearly they have decorated to fit to fit the feeling for the NPCs. So this is probably not a player fort. Also, if you take a look at that emblem on each of the banners, you see, and we're gonna, because this is truly comical, we're gonna go in and we're gonna go right over this guy's crotch. And you see this guy's totem on his chest in the back here.
Yeah, a little Talican of some form.
So that's got the same kind of feel to it. So I feel, obviously to me that signals, okay, hey, that these guys are the ones that belong here, and they might just be protecting it. The NPC on the far right and the far left both have a guild icon. Yeah, yep. And so this guy also on the side, he's got one on his chest. You can kind of see it hidden there. Just under the hilt to the cutlass. So we're gonna bounce away from this one because we've spent a ton of time on this, and we have for those that don't know, we have went out and collected a ton of this concept art. I've got all of the videos and everything from all of their Twitter posts and all of that. You saw a little bit of that in the intro for the show. Once we get more live action stuff, we're gonna fill that out, make it as epic as possible.
We've also put all of that like in a particular channel on our Discord as well.
Yes.
So and if you're not on the Discord, then there's the Discord. I was about to post that.
Beat you to it. All right. Feel free, and we love having the conversation in there. There's a ton of stuff that we try and post in the show releases. To talk about, like the most recent stuff is the housing, some details from a German article that we pulled out, some interesting stuff about the alpha being completed, kind of the direction they feel like they're going to go. The MMORPG article, if you haven't read it yet, is quite possibly vital to like understanding so much more in depth than any of the other interviews out there. Like, you can tell the MMORPG guys clearly understood the mechanics that they wanted to dig into, and they asked the right questions. Given it still leaves some desire there, but that article, oh my god, so much detail that we didn't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
So let's see, aside from that, a reminder that the Discord's going to send you a PM when you join. The PM is just going to verify that you're not a bot. It's a quick anti-botting thing. The bot is also very much more aggressive than the Streamlabs one. So don't post anything you're not supposed to, otherwise it will kick or ban you. So keep the conversation friendly in there, is what I'm saying. So anyways, let's bounce on to the next one here. We got all kinds of fun stuff with this. These are obviously players, and there is an infinite amount more to unpack in this one. Like each one of these screenshots is so rich in detail that like I could talk about this for 20 minutes. And I mean, we just talked about the last one for 8, so
let's not do 20 minutes on this.
Yeah, let's not do 20 minutes. This is going to be a really long show otherwise.
For the sanity of the audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go. Let's do this.
Some key things here. Obviously, there's some really cool armor. There's some really cool equipment here. So you see the difference in between the two different types of bows. You got one guy with a very basic bow on the far right, and you've got another guy with a very highly upgraded or advanced bow of some kind.
I mean, you say basic, I say humble, so
I mean, they both shoot an arrow, so
Yeah, they're both shooting the same arrow.
The other important thing to look at here is that looks like it's a gold arrow.
Yeah.
Both of them look like they have a gold arrow, which is interesting.
Is it? Would this be sort of like New World's version of the golden gun, maybe?
So that might be a thing. Maybe there's different types of arrows, because we've seen different stuff as well, and we'll show a bunch more pictures of bows and that throughout. But there's some really cool stuff here. The other thing of note here, because we're going to see these armor sets throughout a bunch of these. The guy in the middle, you see an amulet that's on his chest, and part of me thinks that this isn't intended to be there, or might be like an actual rendered thing based on what you have equipped, because you can see it clip through the top of his armor. Which makes me think that if you have, these amulets, which we've seen one in the pre-order set, that you get an amulet of some kind. So maybe you can actually see if somebody's got an amulet on, which would be really cool.
I mean, just saying in terms of for sort of gameplay perspective, like I would like to be able to see that kind of thing, and ideally, if they're extremely powerful, I kind of feel like they should at least glow or be a little bit more noticeable, right? Mm-hmm. Like for example, in the trailer, that amulet that they're kind of going after, obviously is very powerful. Like one of the Roman centurion who first picks it up, like is like literally instantly turned straight away. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of thinking, if these amulets that you can potentially wear are like have large degrees of power levels, I would hope that when we come to play the game later on next year, that the amulets, when you actually wear them or have them, or if you're fighting somebody who has them, that it's noticeable if they're really powerful.
Yeah.
So you don't just you're not like they're kind of going, oh, I don't know why I died, and then realized, and then find out later on that that guy was wearing a ridiculous amulet.
Yeah. So maybe this guy's is a little bit on the more basic side, just a onyx black circle. It could be a thing.
Yeah,
all right, so we're gonna change feel almost entirely from the previous photo.
Yes.
Instead of this dark aggressive look, we've got this
happy encounter in a forest.
Yeah. So we've done a little bit of research, and we're convinced that this is some kind of Spriggan, which is a fairy tale type creature. And you can hear me Googling it in the background. It's a Cornish fairy lore. Yeah.
And if you're wondering what the fuck is Cornish, Cornish is an old English county in like the southwest of England called Cornwall.
So we don't know what it's capable of doing. Clearly, these two guys in front of him seem to have just run into him and seem taken aback by what they've encountered.
I mean, I would.
Yeah, he doesn't particularly look not aggressive, but an interesting thing to note here as well is he has the glowing teal eye that we saw in the demon from the other photo as well.
Yeah.
And similar to the deer from the
trailer.
From the trailer, yeah.
He's also constructed in kind of like a very forest and very naturalistic kind of way.
Mm-hmm. And
with a flower as well. Quite nice.
Yeah. So, and of course, I'm going to zoom in the middle here. And we've obviously got faces. A musket, some sort of possibly two-handed sword, and a really both are really interesting and cool sets that look like players could potentially wear.
I imagine so.
So I love that armor set. It's in a ton of the concept art, and I'm really hoping that that maintains being in the game, because that's just a freaking pretty set.
It is lovely. The one other thing actually, which is kind of interesting with this shot is, and it's kind of it's more prominent in this shot than the previous shot that we were talking about, like sort of these sorts of naturalistic kind of creatures, but like this biome looks like so full of life.
Yeah. Which is a huge difference. So, and I'm going to pop back to that first one. So this is also rich with life. And you've got this guy, again, with the blue eyes, or the teal eyes. And you got this one, my bad. You got this one that's still this rich, feel of life. Everything's alive. Everything's colorful. But then we go back 2 photos, and this doesn't look alive. This, clearly you've got, dead things. The grass is brown. The, even red in some cases, which is an odd color. The trees are not.
I was going to say the trees through the gate there kind of look as though like they're shedding leaves or have already shed their leaves, sort of thing. Like.
Yeah.
Whether it's due to something, due to maybe this sort of like corruptedness, that is kind of taken over various different things, or whether it's just a kind of a seasonal thing. Like, we've yet to see.
Yep. So we're gonna keep going, and we've got yet another kind of feel to it, where you've got this ancient culture's ruins. I want to thank everybody who's followed so far. I don't have a full list of them, but thank you guys for hitting the follow button. We are not affiliated yet, so I'm not gonna.
So this is helping out a lot, honestly.
Yeah, we have to hit that 100 follower mark in order to get an affiliate, as well as a bunch of other requirements. So everybody who follows is actually helping immensely right now. Like, huge thank you to all you guys. So there's 2 kind of really cool things about this shot. Obviously, like, there's this ruins, but 2, you've got a different type of enemy. And I kind of think, like, in terms of what they remind me of, I kind of see them as like the World War Z zombie.
Oh yeah, very much so.
The super animated sprinting, like Oh, I think
they're definitely animated
fun.
for sure.
Yeah,
they're definitely animated for sure.
Yeah. He definitely does not look happy. Just craziness. We're getting all the followers. Awesome, guys. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. So some other interesting things here is that there's not a ton of red. There is the red banner off to the left, but the flames are blue.
Yeah, so we've got a kind of a bluish flame going on in the center, and then there's like, well, it's not really a blue flame, but like it looks very much like almost like a lighthouse kind of esque sort of massive tower there in the background.
I know,
But the ruins,
I'd want to check this place out, like.
But the ruins almost have this kind of like almost Egyptian-y kind of feel to it, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of strange because, like, we've seen Roman centurions in the trailer, like, you know, so clearly, you know, the idea of the history of this place is that you know, many different civilizations have kind of come to this island to try and, you know, harness whatever this natural kind of force that they found and have succumbed to it. But it seems that maybe you know, maybe the ancient Egyptians were able to harness it without it being, you know, without it overwhelming them. Let's put it that way. At least to some degree.
Also, this statue directly behind the guy has 4 arms.
Yeah. Ah, yeah, no, I didn't notice that.
I didn't pick up on that at first. He's and no legs. And no legs.
That's weird.
Color me intrigued. Also, that banner on the left-hand side has that same emblem from the other ones.
Oh, yeah. No, it does. That's strange. Okay.
Also, I don't know that I would take a single-fire musket against the several of them that seem very interested in not having him there.
Know. You never know. He may be like a pro level, like, you know, AWP player from CSGO.
True. But this is also a really kind of cool set too. Like, it's got some really cool detail to it, and almost looks. I know you said it the other day. It almost looks like the feather in his hat is reacting to the wind, or the wind and the rain.
Yeah, the rain. It's like it. Yeah, it's like it's the. Yeah, it's like it's, you know, soaking wet and kind of just.
Yeah. All right, so now we got a little different feel. So I mean, again, infinite amounts to unpack in each one of these, but I want to zoom in on something completely not obvious right off the break.
Not someone's crotch again.
No. So see this guy in the background? He's got the totem on his chest, but it's different than the other ones that we've seen.
Yeah.
You know, he also looks like he's got a version of the player armor on.
Yeah, but he does still have those red eyes, though.
Yes, he definitely has the red eyes. So that's interesting. I just felt that was interesting, that it's a totem, but it's a different looking one.
We may have studied these images prior to the show.
Yeah, we've looked in great detail on this, and again, this is not the first time we've attempted to record this specific show. So, and of course, you know, we've got spears, we've got that great axe, or a version of the great axe. You know, not as fancy as the other one that we saw. And we got a musket in the background there with a different set of armor. And we've got what looks like a two-handed great sword with some emblems, glyphs on the side of it.
They look interesting.
You know, that's an interesting look to it. It's definitely a friggin' huge sword.
Nice looking sword. I wouldn't mind that.
And then, of course, you know, we've got giant priest guy in the middle with his pimp staff.
His walking cane.
Yes, his walking cane. You wouldn't take a walking cane from an old man, you know.
Would you?
Would you?
That's not
but
cool.
I don't know if I trust him with that cane.
I know, right?
Yeah. Clearly, he looks like he's in charge. So there, you know, as Mindless Gamer puts it here, you know, there might be different ranks involved here. So this guy off to the left looks like he's underprepared for this particular engagement, versus the guy, the NPC on the right, looks like he's ready for just about any fight. And then you've got, you know, cackling priest in the middle that looks like he's about to make it rain. You know, possibly a sorcerer or something like that. And there's other pictures of him as well. We're gonna bounce to the next one here.
Interesting thing is behind him. Oh, sorry.
We can go back.
The interesting thing behind him is, you know, like a, it's kind of almost like a depiction of that same emblem behind, but in a kind of large way. But you know, holding a metal pan with the fire.
Yeah.
It seems to be a recurring thing.
Yeah. So again, we're gonna swap biomes. So this is again that super full of life Amazon, you know, just lots of color, lots of, you know, energy. We also see the deer or the elk from the intro video or from the trailer, with again the blue eye or like the teal eye. So that might be a reoccurring thing with this particular subset of beasts.
The biome of milk and honey.
And of course, I personally think that this is one of the coolest sets of armor that we have seen yet. Like,
I mean, just the color alone is like pretty awesome because it's got this like really sort of like dark, almost like titanium-esque sort of feel to it.
Oh yeah, it's got so much detail. He's got, you know, attachments on him. He's got, you know, it just looks cool. You know, he's got this bandana over his face. You know, just looks cool. Also, not a golden arrow. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, good point. And a book. Randomly.
So, actually, I'm going to bounce back because Mindless picked up on something I forgot. So this, all the way in the back, you see this bright blue figure that's just covered by this blue circle or this teal circle of some kind. And it's inside one of those lighthouses, or at least, you know, right on the edge of. And it looks huge.
You know what it puts? Yeah, you know what it reminds me of, like from kind of like, you know, the general sort of look of it. It kind of reminds me of like an alien from Aliens. If you kind of get me.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I really hope it isn't. I hope it's not a xenomorph.
Also, remember the general look of that kind of boss-looking thing in the back, like the inside of that circle.
Yeah.
Remember that because that comes up again. There's another image that's very close to that.
Could you zoom in on it without zooming into someone's crotch, maybe? Yeah, there you go.
That. So remember that. It is super important. Clearly that thing is huge because it's big from here, and you can tell that that's not exactly a small tower.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bounce to the next one here. So we got some different armor sets here. We've got, you know, obviously some like ghosts,
spirits, that kind of thing.
You know, that are very aggressive apparently, because clearly they want to fight.
Well, they are in a churchyard, so they are in a graveyard.
Yes,
So.
yes. Being fair, it looks like these guys went someplace that these ghosts might not be happy with them being there.
But there is something very important to note of this guy that you're going to strip right now.
This guy is vital.
Holding something of notable, something of notoriety, by the way.
So, we've seen muskets, and the muskets have this nice long barrel. They're not very thick. This looks robust. On top of that, if you look at the very tip, it's got a flared end, and it's huge. Like, you can see his hand, and it's about the same size as the full length of his fingers. So that to me signals that this is more likely something like a blunderbuss than a musket, which would be a very interesting add to this.
Yeah, very interesting addition. How a blunderbuss actually, affects a ghost, I have no idea.
Yeah. Although to be fair, this guy looks like he might have cut a line through this ghost with his sword in the back there.
And hopefully the spread is tight enough to not actually shoot his friend there.
Yeah, I'd imagine he's within the range to get messed up by that.
I mean, it is called a blunderbuss, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So then we're gonna bounce to another one here. We'll talk about the tree first. So obviously there's something going on with this tree. It's got this blue glow emanating from it.
Yeah, it's not uplit. We're talking 1700s here. There's no electrical lights up lighting it, sort of thing.
And you can see on a few of the pillars, like the one right above his head and the one in between the wolves, that there's also a blue emanation or flame of some kind, maybe, coming off of those. But what we don't see is the same kind of feel from the animals. They don't have the teal eyes. These look like wolves hunting in a pack.
Yeah, and that's really important as well, is hunting in a pack, right?
Yeah. And of course, this guy looks like he's killed a couple of animals in his time here. Happens to be wearing a few of them. But he's also got a flaming arrow.
I mean, he's got a flaming arrow, and you would think if you're facing down wolves, maybe pulling out a bow might not be the greatest of ideas. But they seem to be they seem to be either in the process of about to pounce, or they're skirting the kind of area, waiting for their opportunity, sort of thing. But there's always been this thing regarding wild animals and fire, right? So if animals are actually going to react in the predictable way to fire, then this guy is doing things intelligently.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep bouncing. We have a ton of these to go through. So we're gonna hit the big talking points. So here we've got a grizzly bear that this guy has chosen to take him on with a spear. So good luck with that.
The way that you don't die to a bear is you run faster than the other guy.
Oh god. So true. So I mean, this thing looks comparatively, this thing looks really big. He's dwarfing the guy next to him, and he's looks like a few several steps behind him.
There's some perspective going on with that.
But that's a similar set of armor that we just saw in the previous one. We're gonna keep bouncing.
I do like the art direction of those sort of those armor sets, like the kind of like the detail of it is really good. Anyway, yes, let's check these.
So we got a couple of things to cover here. We don't really want to. We can touch on the fact that obviously this is available on Steam to pre-order right now. There's a digital deluxe version. The prices are, I think, $40 and $50. $40 for the standard, $50 for the deluxe version. If you pre-order now, you get access to the secure closed beta, which reportedly is not going to have an NDA. So I'm guessing that streaming will be allowed, and we'll be able to do some pretty awesome stuff.
And we'll be able to talk about all of the various different anecdotes that have happened over all of the alphas.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to hit on with this, obviously there's the amulet, which actually kind of looks like the one that they pull off the statue.
I was thinking that, and to be fair, like right at the end of the video, right, you have this sort of like monologue at the end of this woman, and I'm guessing that that's going to be Isabella.
Yeah, and she doesn't particularly look very accommodating.
Yeah, she didn't sound very like positive.
So another thing that's interesting about this is you see the guild crest set. Now, okay, hey, obviously there's going to be microtransactions and stuff like that, but more so about the art. So you've got an axe and you've got a musket with a giant flared tip, which to me signals blunderbuss.
It could very well have been just a musket, and someone's like, hammered in a massive piece of metal into it, and someone shot it, and it's just flared out. I highly doubt that. I'm fairly certain it's a blunderbuss, by the way.
So, and then some of the other stuff that you get for the digital deluxe or deluxe edition, you get the Mastiff house pet. A dog that walks around. They're calling it a house pet. I'm wondering if it walks around your house after level, like, I think they said it's level 20 that you get a house or get options of building a house. You get a skin for your axe. You get a woodsman armor skin. So a lot of this is really telling about some of the things that they're going to have. So like the woodsman boarding axe means that they'll probably have weapon skins of a large variety, and of course the woodsman armor skin probably means that you're going to be able to turn different armors to look like different skins as well. So they've got a lot of options there. Personally, like seeing the Romans in the trailer, I really hope that one of the skins is like a full Roman set of armor.
That'd be fantastic. I really like sort of Roman armor as well.
It's so pretty. It's so pretty. All right.
I want a Praetorian set.
Oh yeah. So then we've got this is some more like concept. This is not in-game footage. This is instead like straight up concept art, which when the game developers are trying to game stuff out, they ask their artists to kind of put together how they envision the feel of certain things. So this is obviously a less alive area than some of the screenshots we've seen in the past here. The people around here look a little bit more shady, but I think a couple of things that we want to hit on is there's a guy on the right who looks like he's doing some blacksmithing, and then this guy on the left who we're going to zoom in because he's got an interesting gun.
His weapon is very interesting.
And it's not the only time that this shows up. It's only shown up in concept art. It hasn't shown up on any of the in-game renders. But this guy looks like he's got a scope.
Yeah, it does look very much like a scope, right?
Yeah. Initially, I thought he might have like a lever action as well, but I think that's just a handguard.
Yeah, we've been reliably informed that there have been very ornate handguards that have been added to sort of flintlock rifles and that kind of thing before. So
yeah. So that's some interesting stuff there. You've got dead chickens hanging from the thing. You got fruits and vegetables. You got some buildings in the background here. I'm gonna bounce to the next one. So there's not a ton in this one, but it's just a really cool image. Like, you know, it's potentially in a cave. You know, it's clearly huge.
I was looking at that. There is a lot to the interior of that, because if you look from all the way from left to right, there is like this section of the the mountain that's just been cut through with pillars.
Yeah.
All the way.
Which, I mean, that's you know, I'd be curious on what's going on as well.
Like, if you've ever, my this might be wishful thinking, I guess. But if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, where they're going through the mines of Moria, and they get to this, they get to basically being chased down by orcs. They get to this room which is basically just full of pillars that they have to run through, and they're like slowly getting surrounded by them. It puts me in mind of what's in there, which would be very interesting and very very thrilling as a quest, or as a kind of like a mission, or as a something to experience.
Very, very interesting. So we're gonna keep rolling through here. So again, we've got a completely different feel. So we had the concept art 2 ago that showed the city of things weren't alive. This feels like a celebration. It feels like a happy place. You got a lot of people going around. You got a guy drinking in the back, in the middle. You've got this witch doctor holding a scroll, preaching about something.
Yeah.
And you got a whole bunch of other like interesting armor sets and interesting kind of clothing.
Yeah.
Everything from pilgrims to kind of this knight look to like a noble jester kind of hat on the far right here with the, I don't even know what to call that as a set.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there. But I think it's interesting. There's so much going on here. There's a lot of color. There's a lot of
I wonder whether some of these houses are actually meant to be like the famed kind of like player housing kind of thing, because there's a fair amount of customization going on. Like that house in the center has been blue, right? That's a fairly ornate customization from the norm in when you're thinking this is being meant to be like in the 1700s, right? So there's like there looks to be a fair amount of like interesting kind of customization that maybe you might be able to have with your housing.
Absolutely. And the other one's yellow, and there's a lot there. It's got pink shutters, blue shutters.
I'd like to say that as a Brit, I'm appreciative of the bunting going on. Just saying.
So we're gonna bounce past that one to go to this guy. So again, this is one of the cool sets of armor that I just love.
But this is interesting because this is a different kind of set of potential NPCs, right? Than what we've seen. Like we've seen the guys, the kind of guys with the red sort of like corruption. We've seen the sort of like the ghoulish kind of ones, which do seem to have also the same sort of thing going on, but like they don't seem to have like an aura around them. then we've had the kind of like the wildlife, the wildish sort of like naturalistic kind of ones. Oh, what were they called? The I've
This
forgotten the
like
names. Like
tree
that Cornish
creature
one.
type,
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, those sorts of
supernatural
guys.
looking
But like
ones.
these are interesting because these are different. These seem to be very, almost like actually Egyptian-y, right?
These guys
Which is
seem to
interesting.
be the whatever ancient culture built this place. But
Yeah.
obviously, like they've been
Yeah.
here long enough that they are just bones.
Just bone. I was gonna say skin and bone, but not even skin.
And they've got some interesting weapons on them too. But I do want to call attention to the weapon that the character's holding here. That looks like it's a one-handed axe.
Yeah, true.
So that's we haven't seen anything like that. We haven't seen anything like that in any of the other photos. So that's the one time that shows up, and it's a really kind of pimped out looking axe too.
Does he have a fairly sizable amulet as well on him, or something?
It looks like he's got this giant gold amulet on his chest too. So
Not
that's
too shabby.
There's a lot there. So, do you guys remember the photo way back when we said, remember the guy in the blue circle? This is what it looks like.
Why? Yeah, exactly.
Like, it looks like one of these statues, which in every picture that we've seen are broken. Now, this one's concept art, and the other one was actual in-game render. So it's just very interesting to see. Like, you can see the development from here to there.
Yeah, but it's strange how like the heads have all been broken. And, like even on this concept art, the heads have been broken, and on that in-game render, it's almost as if like it's the same kind of statue, but like the same thing, right? The head's been kind of broken off, and this kind of like this kind of headdress sort of thing has been broken as well.
Oh yeah. So
it's kind of interesting.
You know, maybe there's a society that's trying to hide an even older society, you know, intentionally for some reason.
I like this impasse as well, by the way. I hope that this ends up being a place in game that's like some kind of strategically important kind of area, because like, wouldn't it be cool to have like a 300 style moment, like, you know, this impasse being like the hot gates, right?
Oh yeah. All right.
You and your lowly 300 or 300 dudes like defending an impasse. So
we got some more pretty epic concept art here. So again, we've got some kind of tipped arrow. And this guy looks like he's holding a bunch of vials of this purple glow, which we haven't seen purple glow anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's not red, it's not blue.
You did say previous to this that like, because I didn't see it previously, and you were like, oh, but you should check like the other side of the picture. There's a kind of like a bit of a purple thing going on in the on like at the side of the tree.
Yeah, so maybe this is something that can be harvested and used as a tip to, you know, to do something. Also, this guy's armor is freaking sweet looking.
That bow is sweet looking. It kind of looks different to all the other bows as well.
Yeah, I gotta zoom in on that because
nature.
It does look very mechanical. Like it gives off this kind of like compound bow kind of feel, but only has the one string.
You know what? It gives I hate to say it gives a bit of a steampunky kind of sort of feel to it.
It
like,
does.
Not gonna lie.
It does. Yeah. All right, we're gonna keep rolling. So obviously we saw the ghosts in the other image. Here's one of the concept arts for that kind of spirit ghost creature. We've got I took this clip of the I took this as a clip of the trailer, and it's just a cool, fun picture. Makes for a great wallpaper.
We've seen other people using the same thing as a wallpaper as well. That's awesome.
Somebody posted a picture. They put a couple of icons in each one of the barrels, so it's pretty cool.
But that 3-barrel pistol is like interesting.
Yeah, that is a 3-barrel pistol. So, not only would they be bringing pistols into the game, but possibly multi-shot or maybe one after the other, repeating pistols here. And of course, we got these two guys with some rather cool-looking armor. The amulet, of course, from the trailer.
I love the difference between like the dude on the left's breastplate and the dude on the right's breastplate. Because like, guy on the right's like, he's got an amulet on, like he's got a sort of a small amulet going, but like it's very, very basic, very bare, very like no nonsense, right? But the other guy on the right's just like ornate, like just give me the good stuff, right?
Yeah, he looks like he is in charge. Very, very interesting there. I pulled this one because I want this armor set.
Oh, so definitely want it.
Like, it's just cool. At this point, they've got a lore reason to put it in the game. I would spend money on that. Like,
oh yeah.
I would buy that, and I would have each one of my guys buy the other sets of Roman armor as well. Like, walk in there like a freaking set of Legionnaires. Like, just very nice. Boom. So obviously, the red eyes. This guy's probably not super nice. And in the trailer, of course, like right next to him, he's got this giant beast thing that, like, clearly they're working together.
Been corrupted by, the dark powers of the island. Same as him.
So we see a couple more of the kind of ancient skeleton types with the blue glow. I actually picked this one because, one, it's got the amulet again, but two, it's got a really cool looking sword with some kind of effect maybe on it.
Like it's sort of not possessed, but like it's been enchanted in some way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah. It's got kind of an electric feel to it, which is kind of cool. Then we got some craziness going on in here.
Would you like to unpack this one?
Ooh, there's a lot here.
I think it's being unpacked right before our eyes right now. I think.
So I think the first thing is that this looks like it's inside.
Yeah, that was my kind of thought on it. Yeah, it looks like it's inside, and it looks like it's a fairly large building inside as well. Yeah. Like not like something small.
Some kind of like storehouse, warehouse type place. It's got a bunch of pulleys and stuff and barrels and.
I mean, yeah, it looks obviously kind of raidy.
Somebody's coming in the door. Glossing over that a little bit.
I think something came through the door, like not saying that kind of like that.
Whether they wanted to or not.
Yeah.
So
mine was like someone set the timer too short. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So we see some other stuff in here.
Yeah.
So we see this set back here with the guy with the really cool armor that we've seen a number of times with a sword. The guy next to him, however, has a giant freaking hammer. Just freaking huge.
Huge ass hammer, yeah.
Like, that looks like it would really hurt. But we'll go down from there first.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, that was the thing that kind of took my attention, to be completely honest. There you go.
So, again, we've got this feel of, okay, obviously they're going to bring pistols in, but this pistol goes out to this huge flared tip. Not like the tri-barrel pistol that we saw before. This looks like some kind of shotgun, pistol. Like, so that could be very interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing here is that this isn't concept art. This is in-game render.
Is that in-game render? Sure?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can tell because the armor right here is you've got a little bit of clipping in the fingers.
I'd be surprised if it's in-game render. I would be. I mean, if it's art on top of an in-game render, I'd definitely believe that.
The part that tells me it's an in-game render is that the fingers clip slightly into this guy's axe.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
Whereas an artist would deliberately separate them.
Yeah.
But again, this guy's got a pretty pimped out axe.
I would like to call your attention to the cylindrical or the round thing that's on the sort of like up on the top, sort of slight left side. Yeah. Yes.
Maybe that's the cannonball coming through the breach.
I mean, if that's a cannonball, then that basically says like maybe there's cannons.
True. Maybe
but then the other
cannons.
thing, we can't really tell the size of that ball, right?
Yeah.
Because
the perspective is a little bit off. Like,
yeah, we don't know whether that ball is like just above that dude's head, or whether it's like actually like way closer to like the camera.
Yeah.
It's sort of difficult to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever it is, it did make a bit of a dent, right?
Oh yeah. All right. So this one, we've got this like crazy creature in the background, but we've also like got a variety of weapons, but the two guys on the right again are pictured with a musket with a scope on each one.
Yeah.
And again, this is of course concept art, so they can change the direction and that when they bring it into the actual game. But it's just interesting that they'd add a scope on there.
And that's that same kind of like sort of like a teal-y kind of like bluish sort of like tinge to the monster that's sort of in that in the background there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like it's funny because I kind of see this as like a lynching mob that's taken the wrong turn, but
oh yeah. So then we've got this red faction, just this priest clearly is doing something with this this giant spire looking thing that's coming out of the ground.
Well, yeah, I mean, his attention does look to be more towards that kind of spire, maybe, right?
Yeah.
That thing that's just coming into shot from the top, right?
So, and you've got these two hounds that have clearly been just infused with the red corruption. Possibly, I mean, this looks like the armor set that we've seen on a couple of player characters, but
yeah.
Again, he's got the totem on his chest.
Oh yeah.
So,
okay.
He's
I was kind of wondering about that because like
this other guy has it too.
Yeah. I wondered for a second because I was like, it didn't look like if he was a player, like they seem to be fairly good at ignoring him, which is odd.
Yeah, he seems like he's welcomed.
Okay, cool.
So,
but that
I want to point something out here. So, see this arrowhead in the back? It's this giant, like, red emanating area, just off center to the right. There's this giant arrowhead. Down in the village, there's a similar looking spire thing that's got the red corruption coming up directly from underneath it. That looks a lot like what we're seeing here.
Yeah,
so, like, potentially these spires are, pulling up the corruption.
Do you think that maybe that's what the priests are kind of doing? Like they're actually, they're casting spells or putting their power into these spires to pull corruption up from the depths?
Very well could be. Very, very well could be. The to answer the question in chat, is there some sort of mage class in the game? There's not official classes that they've announced, but there has. If you go back and watch some of the videos that were released back in February, they did have some kind of healing power, which possibly could expand into other magical potential
Realms.
Attacks or types or
Mechanics of some form.
There's a lot of options there when it comes to magic that they can get away with in this mythical realm.
Very much so.
You got this corruption-filled town that everything is dead. Like in comparison to like a lot of the other biomes, like the life biome or the rainforest type biome there, this is everything is dead. So that is very interesting. And again, it's got the red banners. It's clearly the corrupted are celebrating something in their own dark and
depraved way.
Yeah. So let's change some feel up here. There's a, I also want to talk about how friggin' pretty this game is. Like,
yeah, very true.
You can't. I think we're streaming in 740p. And if you guys want the link to the Discord, we've got all of the concept art in super high resolution, so you can see just how freaking good looking this game is. I said concept art. This isn't actually concept art. This is in-game render.
Yeah.
So the fog coming out, the turkey sitting in the brush in the middle there. This is what the game looks like.
I love that volumetric lighting, by the way.
Absolutely.
Like, that volumetric lighting looks so realistic, so good.
Absolutely. This is in game. Like this is what it looks like. This is it's just freaking pretty.
This is what you get to run around in.
And you get that blue glow coming out of the ground on this one, so possibly being able to do something with that.
I mean, that's
Sorry, I'm just looking through some of these other ones here. So I want to kind of wrap this up with the obviously the Lumberyard engine has some pretty awesome abilities. Before we talk about the actually no, we'll cover these last few. Then we'll talk a little bit about Amazon as a studio. So obviously we've got these elk from the trailer, or deer of some kind. That looks literally like the forest has come to life. Found a way to keep this animal alive, or animate the woods to become alive. You get the same kind of feel, but an icy version of it. From the
winter. Very winter-esque version of that. Yeah.
And again, the bright blue teal eye. With the same kind of feel of it, it being made out of wood.
Just very natural-esque kind of thing, right?
Then you got this guy.
This guy scares the shit out of me, but
yeah. I feel like this guy, for one, he's huge. Like, just the scale of the trees next to him, he is gigantic. So this could be some sort of, random encounter that you encounter some sort of like large boss type PvE. that, you know, this
he's
thing
gonna
could
be
mess
my
your day up.
He's gonna be my ultimate mount. That's what
Oh yeah.
And when someone takes it out, like, I'm gonna be really annoyed, and I'm just gonna go, that still only counts for one.
Still only counts for one. So this is concept art again, and it goes back to that arrowhead shape that we saw and the spires that we saw that are kind of pulling this corruption up from the ground. To answer the question in chat, I do think that we're going to have mounts. I would guess that we'll have horses or something.
I mean, if the map's going to be as big as they say it's going to be, like, I ain't walking it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty big chore to get from one side to the other on the map that was in.
Oh yeah.
And that we showed earlier in the alpha. I'm hoping for some level of additional travel, but I also hope that they don't make it overpowered. Like, you know, if you get hit while you're on it, you should fall off of it or something, you know, something like that. So it makes it so you can't just run past it.
You shouldn't suddenly, you know, have like a mass amount more hit points.
Mm-hmm. I want to dive away from the concept art, because obviously we've been deep into that for a while, and I want to talk about Amazon Game Studio. And I can't think of a better way of doing it than having Amazon Game Studio talk about themselves.
Amazon Games.
And they released a video back in 2016 that one showcases a lot of art that has not been released about New World. And it also talks about kind of their ability or their kind of ethos as a company on why they're doing certain efforts the way they are, you know, what kind of things we can possibly assume that they're working towards, you know. So I'm going to let them explain it in their own little trailer here. So we'll cut to that and we'll come back and add some commentary after we're back.
It's not about the couch anymore. It's not about the server multiplayer. It's all about this massive shared experience.
First thing we think about is community when we're building a game.
What if a game was built for Twitch? What would that mean? What would that look like? We're going to try things that combine the cloud, that combine our new Lumberyard engine, that combine Twitch into brand new experiences. Principally, it's this idea that you have a player, a broadcaster, and a viewer all sharing in a live synchronous experience.
We're going straight for the Twitch customer. We're inspired by the way they play. We're inspired by the way they share. And we want to make a product that's worthy of them.
What we found is our designers and our creative talent in the studios have come up with remarkably fascinating ideas. It comes down to experimentation. Crucible is a last one standing, third-person shooter in which 12 hunters enter an alien hostile world, but only one emerges victorious. Because the world itself is dangerous, players have to work together, but unlike a lot of team games, players can actually make or break alliances on the fly, so you have to kind of watch your back. Crucible also has a new type of player, a 13th player, who can broadcast and also directly impact the game by creating events. And it's not just a one-way streak. Viewers can actually interact with the game master as well.
New World is a huge open-ended sandbox game set in our take on 17th century colonial America. In this version of the world, the supernatural is real.
Everything that they were afraid of, everything that they hoped for, that they wanted to believe in, that they wish wasn't true, all of that stuff is real. And there are nature spirits out in the woods, and horrible things hide in the shadows. We talk about, the players are our content. They build villages and farms and towns and forts.
We say carve your own destiny, because you can play the game as you want to be an explorer and go explore this big world. Cool, do that. You want to be a soldier and protect people? Do that. You want to be a farmer?
These permanent spaces that they carve out of kind of this cursed, monster-haunted, hostile wilderness. Whatever they do with it and in it and to one another is really up to them.
Breakaway is a mythological sport brawler where epic warriors from myth and legend team up and face off in fast action competition. And it's played in these mythological locations like El Dorado or Styx or Valhalla or Atlantis. Each of the warriors has unique buildables that they can lean into to fortify their strongholds or to go on these offensive drives. We're very hopeful about the competitive scene, but for now we just wanted to make a game that at its core was just really, really fun to play and really fun to watch.
Community-driven development is all about listening to what players want.
We're trying to build great games. Ultimately, customers are going to decide that. And our games, we're going to release them earlier, and we're going to get feedback.
We're going to integrate Twitch into our DNA as we design our games. And that opens up a whole bunch of doors that we haven't tried yet. From new features in games that you haven't seen to a whole new type of game that maybe hasn't been tried yet.
You know, you have the cloud, you have Lumberyard, you have all these tools, you have Twitch. You're at the situation where, man, we need to invent our way through this because there's so much technology required to provide that type of social experience for that many people. Amazon's investing heavily where there's an opportunity to invent new ways for people to have these shared experiences.
A big part of that creative process is iteration. You want to be learning, and the best way to learn and iterate is in the context of the community, in the context of fans.
We're going to make games that are fun to play and fun to watch and fun to play with other people. And that's really the connective tissue. Community first.
All right, we're back in. So obviously Amazon, has some interesting ideas about where they want to go, where they want to bring things. They talked about Twitch integration. That they want these games to be big. They want them to be immersive. They want them to add stuff that hasn't been seen. There's a particularly interesting set of pictures, obviously the concept art while they're working on, kind of this native, face paint look, so like a native headdress look. But they've also got, like I think one of the images that really stands out in that, and I, push people to go check it out on YouTube, is the video of the stairwell. And I know that's a weird thing to key in on, but it's talking about doing the best they can for the customer. Clearly they spent money on putting that up, and they want to make a game that's best for everyone. They want to make a game that people are happy with. They want to make a game that is what the players want it to be. And
it's good that they seem to be listening to a lot of the player base, but not so far as to going so far as to give every single thing that every customer wants, right? When it comes to sort of creating and crafting games and doing that what they call customer driven game game creation, game design, you have to be very aware to the fact that sometimes giving the customer everything that they want is kind of bad, but you meet them halfway, or you meet them sort of 80-20, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes what the customer wants is not the best thing for the overall health of the game.
Yeah, and this, a lot of this ties in as well. You're seeing a lot of overflow from some people who think they might know what's going on. But I want to remind everybody, when you go to Reddit, and there's a lot of posts out there where people are like, why are they taking away PvP? Again, it goes back to what we talked about at the very beginning, where you've got a reviewer who's asking questions who's never actually seen the game, and there's a lot that we don't actually know how it's going to work. We don't know a lot of these things, and we won't know until we get back able to play in the alpha kickstarts, which they have confirmed they're going to start another phase of alpha. They haven't confirmed when. but in the process of the tweet that they released with that was that they want to wish everybody a happy holidays, and that they'll see them in the new year. So I'm betting, if I was a betting man, I'm betting that we'll probably see an alpha phase starting up sometime early next year, with the beta phase coming in April and a May 26th launch.
Yeah, it was like it was May 26th. I saw May 31st, but it is definitely like end of May.
Yeah. So there's some pretty awesome stuff. If you guys like what you see, go pre-order. Like, I'm not normally one to be like, go pre-order, like, pre-order everything. No. Like, I wouldn't suggest it if I didn't enjoy what I've seen and that. And obviously we wouldn't be hosting a show on it if we didn't think that it was pretty freaking awesome. Amazon's website says May 26th. So
I think May 26th is the full release. Out of beta to full release, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant when the closed beta started. That's so pretty.
I'm just reading one of the chat comments here. Yeah, so the other thing is that the developers are very accessible. They have interacted and they continue to interact. They ask clarifying questions. They don't take stuff right at the face value. They want to understand the logic behind it. And they really do a great job of interacting with the community, and I want to give them a lot of props for that. It's a difficult task, especially if you're trying to make large groups of people happy, because obviously you can't make them all happy. There's certain stuff they can talk about, certain stuff they can't talk about. It's a tightrope.
I've been part of community efforts and sort of like concerted efforts to help a fledgling MMO sandboxy kind of survival game, to grow, and I've experienced that kind of that degree of disconnect when you're trying to provide a company with valuable insight into how their game is played and how people view like changes to the game, and avenues where they could improve, avenues where where it's completely fine, avenues that they may need to think about as a change because it may end up being a problem further down the line kind of thing. And I've experienced when a company doesn't do that right, when a company doesn't listen to you, doesn't take feedback that's been well crafted, well presented to them, and I have to say it's night and day, in comparison to Amazon games. They seem to be very, very appreciative. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. A number of the developments we saw based on their feedback, and one of the posts on their website prior to the changeover to the new website was that a lot of the changes that they were hoping to implement were because of feedback from the alpha. So I would expect to see a lot more from them. They did start a developer diary series that talks about, in the first one, Azoth and the ancient culture a little bit. Not a ton of detail, but I'm hoping they'll continue that series and we'll gain a ton more detail in those. Again, the selfless plug here for the Discord. If you guys want to keep in touch with the show, you want to peruse through the massive concept art and screenshots that we've got, you're welcome to do so. and keep the conversation going. The more, the merrier. Obviously, thank you to everyone who followed. And we're going to be cross-posting this over to YouTube. So, like, favorite, subscribe. Hit the notification icon so that we can so you get the notification when we do go live.
And when we do drop another one of these.
Yep. And hopefully, fingers crossed, Twitch saved the VOD from this so that we don't have to make another.
It looks promising. I checked it. It looks promising. So yeah.
So, with that, thanks to everybody. And we'll see you guys again in the next episode.
Bye.